different things in his life, and he's a living example of someone who has turned passion into action. So I don't want to take up too much time because we only have about half a period, but this is Divine. He's going to tell his story today. He's the Chief Dream Director for the Future Project in Newark, New Jersey. He's going to chat with you all, and then we're going to have some time for questions in like the last 20 minutes. So, without further ado, Divine Bradley, everyone, give it up.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Yeah. All right, cool. Because I don't want to necessarily use this mic. All right, where do I start? Well, first of all, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Okay. And raise your hand if you have any 17-year-olds in the room. 17-year-olds. So check it out. So check it out. I'm gonna start at the age of like 16 and a half. All right. So I went to a high school in Brooklyn by the name of Boys and Girls High School. And when I was at Boys and Girls, my high school had about 5,000 students in it. Wow. And students that I've gone to school with, that I know now, they used to call me the ghetto Ferris Bueller. Oh, y'all know about the Ferris Bueller movie? Yeah. Y'all need to Netflix that. So anyway, when I was in high school, I was always attracted to the allure of the streets. I was always that kid in school that went to school for all the wrong reasons. I was really concerned about being popular, coming to school dressing fly. We had a rule in high school that was like you couldn't wear the same thing twice for the entire year. It was like that when I was in high school. But one of the things that really I want to zero in on is actually when I was 16, I actually had to witness one of my closest friends get murdered, and it was a huge tragedy for me because see, when you're young and you're having fun, you think that the people you have around you and the fun that you're having is going to last for a long time. You know what I mean? And in that moment is when I realized that life could end. And that was my wake-up call. In fact, my boy lost his life over a game of basketball by his own friend. And I mean, this isn't something that's like, this is very common. You know what I mean? Where people lose their lives in the hood over senseless things. And this is over a game of basketball. So the thing for me at that moment was, I knew that my friend, he was going to be someone. You know what I mean? He was a senior. He had got accepted to go to a school called UNLV in Las Vegas to play basketball. We were really excited for him because he was a really good basketball player. And we knew that he would make it out the hood and do something good with his life. And his life was taken. And so at that moment, I decided that I wanted to be a part of the solution and no longer a part of the problem. Now, I had 0 role models. I had no one in my neighborhood, no one, absolutely no one in my life that I could say, hey, I want to be like this person, and this person is going to, I had no guiding light. I had no driving force other than myself. And I said to myself, I want to be as cool as the drug dealer in my neighborhood. I want to be as cool as the gangsters in my community, but I do not want to do what they do. I want to be cool for doing something that made a difference. And when I talk to my friends, keep in mind, I went to a school with 5,000 kids. I was voted most popular in my high school. And when it came down to me saying, you know what, I went to my crew and said, yo, I want us to make a difference. I grew up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. And, excuse me? You live there? Okay. I went to my crew and was like, yo, let's make a difference. Let's like take back our neighborhoods. Let's create a whole new gang. Let's like just turn the neighborhood around. And they all looked at me and was like, nah, you could do that. that, but that's kind of corny because you ain't gonna get no girls doing that, you ain't gonna get no money doing that. So we ain't with it. We gonna stay out here on the block. You know what I'm saying? Before I continue with my talk, I just want to go into a little commercial because this conversation is sponsored by love. I'm here today because I love you and there's nothing you can do about that. All right? So I'm gonna give you a word. The word today is reciprocity. I'm here to give you love, and all I ask for in return is love and respect. That's all I ask for. That's your payment. That's the exchange. All right? Last week, real quick, I had a near-death experience, and it really put things into perspective. Sometimes life has to throw us curveballs for us to kind of get lessons, you know? Experience is the hardest teacher. You think your teachers are hard. Experience is the hardest teacher because it gives you the test first and the lessons after. Let that marinate. And last week, I almost lost my life. Well, I thought I did. And it really put things into perspective. So I'm really, really thankful, Sarah, for inviting me here to speak to y'all because it's my first time actually speaking to a large group of students since that moment. So I'm giving you every ounce of my life and every word that I'm sharing with you. Okay? And I want y'all all to realize that I'm here with love. So just please respect that. Please. Anyway, fast forward. I had no support from my friends. Nobody wanted to rock with me. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, all right, cool. I don't need my friends to do what it is I want to do. I wanted to be a positive role model. I learned that the best way to predict the future was to create it. And in doing so, I went around my neighborhood. In fact, I went to another neighborhood in Brooklyn called Canarsie. And I went around and I started asking young people that was hanging out on the corners. I was like, yo, what y'all want to do in your neighborhood? Like, I'm tired of seeing y'all on the corners. I'm really sick of it because growing up, I was told never to hang out on the streets. Like, hang out on the corner. Like, that was corny. You know what I'm saying? And they all said to me, well, we want to open up a community center. We need to get off the streets. Now, I never set foot into a community center, ever. I was 17 years old. And I gave them my word. I was like, whatever it's going to take to get y'all off the streets, because I know the end of that story, I'm going to make it happen. I'm 17. And I told them, I give you my word. We are going to make this community's first community center. So half of them thought I was crazy. He was like, what? There's no way in the world you're going to make a community center. You're 17. But I believed it in my heart. And so in 2 weeks, I got a crew of young people together, 8th graders, 9th graders. I was 17 at the time, and we knocked on every single door in our neighborhood and spoke to every single human being we came in contact with and said, you know what, we're young and we're going to make a difference in our neighborhood. We're going to take back our community. We're not asking for the politicians to make a difference. We're going to make a difference. We don't need permission to be great. And in 2 weeks, guess how much money we raised? Nothing. 2 weeks, a group of kids knocking on doors. You said 2,000? $30. Let's be, come on, y'all. 5,000? 10,000? We raised $25,000 cash money in 2 weeks. And clap that up. That was we raised $25,000 in 2 weeks. In fact, what was so interesting about that time was that we had people writing us checks on the train saying, like, you're young and you care about your community? You're like an endangered species. I'm going to support that. Now, don't get it twisted. We could go on the block and we could knock on every single door and tell people about how passionate we were about changing our neighborhood, and people told us no. But we would go on the next block, and that one yes, here's $10, made up for the block that didn't give us any money, you know? And so we raised $25,000. I went to my mom and said, hey, Mom, we have 2 vacant floors. Actually, it's a first floor and a basement, kind of sort of like how your school is, right? We had a first floor and a basement. And I said, yo, can we just rent out this place and turn it into a center? Of course, she told me no, but when I showed up with money, she was like, okay. And then we opened up the center. We had a recording studio, a movie theater. We had a weight room. We had a library. We had an area for us to, you know, do counseling in. We actually had a tension room. So if you was dealing with something, you could like punch the punching bag, tag up on the walls, yell, whatever you wanted. you know, and this became the water hole in the desert. And I'm going to hand out an article soon to give you proof of how a group of kids in the neighborhood made this happen. And in Canarsie, we had over 350 students every single week from all over New York City traveling to a deep area of Brooklyn to come to this place. It was like literally, like there's a film called Field of Dreams, right? And in the film they say, if you build it, they will come. Like we built this place and students from all over came out. So this is the beginning of my story. This is when I just jumped down this rabbit hole of my dreams. It all started with me wanting to make a difference and get kids off the streets. What I didn't know was that I wasn't alone. I started to travel around the United States because people saw me in the news and was like, you know what, we want this guy to come out and speak to young people just like this. So I've been doing this for like 15 years, y'all, where I've been reaching out to groups of students just like this. And thank you, brother. And what I realized is, how many students is in this room right now? Roughly? 60. About 80, right? I know, just from my little, you know, my calculations, I know for a fact, sitting in this room right now is someone that's going to be extremely motivated and inspired and just take off with super passion to make something happen. I know someone in this room right now. It's usually, out of 100 people, I get about 1 or 2 people that's really, really listening. You know? And then there's a group of y'all that's, you know, it's like, all right, that's a cool story, bro. Nice. You know? Then there's a group of y'all that's just like, nah, that's not me. You know, you was lucky. That's not my story. You know? Well, I'm here to let y'all all know that, and you may have heard this before, is that when preparation meets opportunity, that equals luck. And I've always, always, always been prepared to make a difference. You ever heard of the saying like, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready? And so I realized that that's the thing that was, you know, I walked with that all my life. So who in here, obviously, y'all all know about Ralph Lauren, right? So I was, so funny, I'm trying to give you the short story of this. I found out that Ralph Lauren was looking for role models. And I wore Ralph Lauren every day of my life. And like literally, I had a crew in New York City that was all about polo every single day, whatever. And so my friend told me that Ralph Lauren's looking for role models. I'd go out, I'd meet with the people, I'd tell them about my story, about what I'm doing in the community. And they were like, you know what? Our new models have to be role models. And keep in mind, I was like completely obsessed with the brand. Ralph Lauren is like one of my heroes when I was younger. And so I had an opportunity to do a photo shoot. And on this photo shoot, I met with a guy. And this dude was like, hey bro, tell me your story. I told him about like me wearing polo all my life. I showed him pictures about with me and friends, like as deep as this crew, walking from like the Brooklyn Bridge all the way up to like Harlem, just wearing like cool polo clothes and, you know, just taking flicks all throughout the city. And he thought that was interesting. And he then said, I want you to meet my dad. And I'm like, what the heck I want to meet your dad for? You know what I'm saying? He's like, I just love your story. A week later, I get a phone call, and they said, we want to set up a meeting with you and Ralph Lauren. I was like, what? So the dude I was talking to this entire time was Ralph Lauren's son. And I met with Ralph Lauren, and I had a very candid, straightforward conversation saying to him that, you know, it's been my dream to want to work along with Ralph Lauren. In fact, it's been a dream for me to design with Ralph Lauren. And I told him that I wanted to create something along with him that was going to make a difference in the world. So in that short conversation, I asked him, I made a proposition and asked if I can create the Ralph Lauren Fashion Business School. And he said yes. And so I started the Fashion Business School over at Ralph Lauren. In addition to that, he gave me, I'm actually the only person, I mean, just shout out to New York Fashion Week, I'm the only person in history that's ever had a clothing line with Ralph Lauren. You know what I'm saying? So, you ever seen the polo shirts with the big horse on it? Yeah. Yeah? I created that. Along with students. And so, this was all a dream of mine. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that we had when we were having a conversation, I was saying like it'd be really cool if we could take graffiti, because I'm a graffiti artist. It's like it'd be really cool if we could take graffiti art and like merge it in with Ralph Lauren's designs, and like it'd be cool to take urban art and merge it in. And so I'm gonna show y'all some samples and I'm gonna move it around. So this is actually one of the t-shirts that we created. And remember I was telling you the best way to predict the future is to what? Create it, man. The best way to predict the future is to create it. And that was my motto. That was like on my mirror. That was everywhere. And I wrote that quote on a napkin, and they actually took that quote, scanned it, and made it into an actual polo shirt. And that's Ralph Lauren's signature in the middle of it. He signed the shirt. And the beautiful thing about this shirt is that he asked me, like, you know, what can we do in terms of the, you know, with the proceeds of the shirt? You know, I was like, it'd be so cool when people bought our products that 100% of the proceeds went into, 100% of the proceeds went into the charity of your choice. So when you like buy the shirt, it would come with a code, you would go online and you would see a bunch of different nonprofits that, you know, whether it's a Red Cross or Boys and Girls Club or a school in your neighborhood or whatever, you had an opportunity to send your $35 to that organization. And so that was the beginning of my consultation quest and working with bigger companies such as like Nike, work with Apple, on ways on how to, you know, create social giving. So this is just one example. Pass it down. Then we had some jeans. We had some, I was like, yo, Ralph, man, your jeans is too tight. We gotta create some like, you know, some boot cuts or something. And so we created this. The book doesn't come out, so please don't pull this out. But if you try to look inside the book on the second page of the book, try not to rip it. There's like where I wrote, the best way to predict the future is to create it, is actually on this page, and there's a picture of me on the other side. But yeah, you take these jeans and pass it down. This was an actual mural in my community, and this was the first time graffiti was ever on a polo shirt. It was a limited edition shirt. It was sold in polo stores around the world. Here, take that, pass that. Here's another shirt with the same quote, the best way to predict the future is to create it, in the back. It was a little bit, you know, soft. And all of these shirts were designed by students from Fashion Business School. And then last but not least, we've gone on to create other products. This is one of my favorites. It was a Ralph Lauren. This is the first time we blew the polo horse up. See? Y'all like this coat?
I'm done. Yo, another thing.
And this was the ad. So this ad, listen up, y'all. So this was the actual ad that was turned into like different billboards around the country, and was in maybe I would say 30 to 40 different major publications, from like GQ to Rolling Stone to Source Magazine to a whole bunch of magazines. But the point is that this is just one of the dreams, okay? Once this happened for me, I realized that I could make anything happen if I'm prepared. And so I started to cook up a bunch of like just different dreams. How many people in here know exactly what they're passionate about? Now raise your hand if you don't know what you're passionate about. Keep it real. You don't know. Okay. You like to buy things? Like what, groceries? Okay, what else? What else? Like to travel. Okay. And you really, really passionate about these things? Like, could you live without those things? You could? Really? Like, you can stop doing all of that stuff. Wow, what's something you can't live without doing?
Drinking water.
Drinking water? Okay. Do you have any, like, specific hobbies that you like to get into that you just cannot? Hold up. No? You don't want to say it?
You don't want to say it.
Do y'all think he's passionate about anything else? Who else raise their hand about not being passionate? Not being passionate. This sister right here. What are the things that you love to do? You like to sleep? What else? You like to read? Okay. Is there anything that you do that you love to do that you just can't live without? No? Makeup? Like you love to do makeup. So why isn't it you're passionate about makeup? No? No? Alright, what does it mean when I say, what's your passion? What does that mean? It's not what you really want to do when you're doing it. You know what I mean? It's like what you really love. Like, I love, who likes to go shopping for clothes? Okay. Who loves art? Who loves to dance? Anybody in here love to take pictures? Anybody in here love? Who loves selfies? Okay. Anybody in here love to watch like basketball? Okay. Anybody here love to just help people? Okay. How many people in here love to give their friends good advice? Okay. So, who loves to get money? So, the reason why I ask those questions, right? Because like all of those things I'm passionate about. I love all of those things. So if you ask me what my passions are, I probably list like 100 things that I'm passionate about. And everything that I do contains one of those passions. Like, let's take the whole fashion business program thing, for example. I love to teach. I love design. I love to buy clothes. I love Ralph Lauren. I love bringing people together to have a good time. I love travel and exposure. I like taking people out of Brooklyn and taking them into Manhattan and, you know, walking through Madison Avenue and showing them new things, you know? I love to, you know, we made over $100,000 in less than a week selling those shirts. Oh, I forgot to tell you that the proceeds from these items actually led to me opening up my second community center, you know? So I went on to create multiple community centers as a young kid. You know what I'm saying? And I love all of these things. You don't have to necessarily have this just one thing that you got to do. You can be passionate about multiple things. The whole thing about passion is just like really being completely obsessed about being successful at something. I like to find things I love and get really good at it. I have a camera. I like to take pictures. And next thing you know, people look at my pictures and say, hey, I would like to hire you to be my photographer. I love music. So I got myself a DJ set. And then I start playing music every chance I get. Even if I'm at home by myself, I'm playing music with my 2-year-old. You know what I'm saying? People hear my music and it's like, hey, can I hire you to be a DJ at my wedding or my birthday party? You know what I'm saying? Or people might look at like the clothes that I wear and say, hey, I don't want that item. Where can I get it from? So I like to design clothes. I have my own website where I sell limited edition items throughout the year. You know what I'm saying? So you can find different things that you love. If you like to do makeup, you can create something here in school where like maybe for the first 15, 20 minutes in school, you can do a face a day. You know what I'm saying? If that's something that you truly love to do. You know? If you are somebody that loves to get money, there's an age-old story where it's like, you'll get money if you teach others how to get money. Or you help others how to get money. You can have a financial literacy program in your school, call it Get Money. Real talk. I had a financial literacy class when I was 18 years old in my neighborhood. I knew that students wanted to get money, and kids that was in the streets, they wanted to get money, but they didn't know how to get money. They just knew how to sell illegal things in the neighborhood. That doesn't mean you know how to get money. That just says you are a worker. So I'm saying learn how to work smarter and not necessarily harder, right? And so I wanted to get kids off the streets because I knew they're trying to make $30 or $50 of sleeping money at the end of the week, when you could actually take that time and effort and apply your entrepreneurial skills to something else that's going to keep you alive and off the streets. And so I had to do financial literacy by offering a free breakfast program in my neighborhood. And the way it went was like this. I had students come out at around 6 o'clock in the morning. We would work out for about 25 minutes. We'll do a financial literacy course that was about, I would say, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then I had a minivan, so I would then take those students to school. This ensured that they were going to get to school on time, that they were going to eat a proper breakfast, and they were talking about getting money. So it'd be real simple. We would have a 20-minute class on like, yo, this is how you open up a checking account. No, seriously. Look at the differences. I used to ask questions like, all right, let's say you get $50 million. Where are you going to put that money? You're going to put it where? What bank are you going to put $50 million in? Bank of America. Come on, y'all. Say it again. I can't hear.
You're supposed to put it in multiple banks to collect
Can you hear?
interest.
Can you speak up?
You're supposed to put it in a bunch of different banks. You can't put it all in one because they only insure you for, I think, $200,000, and the rest, if you lose it, the bank can't pay you.
How could you lose it?
Because they invest their money. The banks are the ones who invest their money.
Y'all heard that? So you could put $50 million in, what's your bank? Who you bank with? Banque Populaire. You could put $50 million in Banque Populaire. Would you advise him to go? Where would you advise him to go?
I don't know. I guess I would just put it in a bunch of different banks. So I would put it in Chase, TD, wherever. Or
Okay,
invest some of my money in condos so I get some of that money back.
Okay, go ahead.
I wouldn't even invest it in banks from here. I would invest in different countries.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Because in some other countries they give you a higher interest than here.
How do you know that?
I took a class.
You took a class.
Yeah.
So it's real. Listen, y'all. What if every time? How much you pay for those tickets, brother? Yeah. All right, stop it. You said 2 something. How about you? 130, 2 something. Okay. How often do you buy tickets?
Every time I get a check.
So how often is that?
Every weekend.
Every weekend? So you buy a pair of tickets every week?
Weekend.
Every weekend. So you have like 52 pairs of sneakers.
Now, I don't buy it. Like, if I see a pair I want, I buy it. Yeah.
So how often do you buy sneakers?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks? Alright, who can do the math on that? How much money did he spend in a year with that?
About 10.
Huh?
Over 10 months.
I'm not going to buy every pair.
At 2 in change. That's about 10.
Got it. Raise your hand if you said about 10,000?
Yeah, 4 or 5 G's.
About 4 or 5 G's? Okay. Who could 5 Gs right now to go towards a business idea or venture. Right now? How can you use more for $5,000 right now for your meeting? Huh? I want to know.
I will buy a Sprite.
And to do what with it?
No, I'm confused.
To do what with
Get
it?
paid to
You'll get paid to do other people's makeup. So until you have the high-end makeup, that's when you start getting paid?
Yeah.
So you can't get paid now?
No.
So it's the makeup, not the skill.
No, I got. See my face? I got.
But what I'm asking you for, are you getting paid now? Huh? Because you need the high-end makeup.
I need more.
You need more makeup. Got it. Do you want to do that? Would you want to get paid for doing makeup?
Yeah.
Huh?
Maybe.
Okay. Gotcha. So, check this out. Here's I want to spend my last minute and a half with y'all. What if I told you the reason why I'm here is because everybody in here will be granted $5 million cash by the end of the year? But the only thing, in order for you to access this $5 million, you couldn't fail a single exam between now and the end of the school year. You can't fail. You can't do anything wrong. Nothing wrong. Listen up. Raise your hand. Well, I said, the only way you're going to access $5 million is if you can't get anything wrong on the test. Anything wrong. At all? Perfect scores on every single test. Raise your hand if you feel you cannot do that. Keep your hand up. All right. All right. Question. Who has their hand up there that said they can't? Why you said you can't?
Is he good?
Is it possible?
No,
No, is it possible to get perfect scores on every test? Well, why is it that you can't do it? So, if you're trying to tell me all you have to do is study hard enough to access $5 million, you're not willing to do that? So, here's my point. For those of you that said, who said yes, I'll get that money? Me. How you know for certain you're going to get that money?
I don't. But it's worth a shot.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah.
What would you have to do in order for you to make that happen?
Study a lot.
All right, what else? Hold on. Huh? What?
Like study a lot.
What else? That's it? Okay. What you say?
You gotta beat the voting.
Uh-huh.
You gotta want the money.
Yeah.
You gotta smell the money. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna pay attention. I'm not gonna let nothing distract me. And I'm gonna get that $5 million. And you're gonna do what you gotta do.
Gotcha. So, for those of you that said yes, you'll make it happen. Would you still maintain the same plans you had after school today? Yeah. You would? Why you say no?
Because I would take myself at home and study, not go to the library, or if not, tell somebody to come with me and help me study. Because if you're gonna be chilling with your friends and you might as well not get the $5 million, you're not gonna get it.
So real quick, thank you for that. When you want something you gotta want it really, really bad. If you want it really bad, I promise you it's gonna change your life. It's going to change the way you communicate with people. It's going to change the habits you have. The jokes you crack, you probably won't crack them no more. The people you hang around with, the relationship is going to shift. Your discipline's going to be different, and that's exactly what you need when you are locked in to say, I want to open up, I want to do makeup, I want to be an entrepreneurial makeup artist. If you don't want it bad enough, you're playing. You know what I'm saying? You gotta want it really, really bad. My why behind what I did was I was tired, I was sad, I was angry of seeing many of my friends getting killed in the streets and getting locked up. I have a friend that just came out of prison since 1998 for a non-violent crime. Since 1998. You know what I'm saying? Because once he got locked up, he caught charges being locked up, and a whole bunch of other stuff happened. They just kept him in jail. You know what I'm saying? So the point that I'm making to you is, like, that was my why. I'm tired of seeing young people just being idle, just like, you know, I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to just chill outside. I'm going to just hang out. I'm going to do something that's real negative or whatever. I'm going to throw my life away. I'm going to have someone else, like, run my life. You know what I mean? Because if you ain't got a plan, somebody else will have a plan for you, whether it's good or bad. You know? So I'm just here to just let you know that, listen, that little thing that you just love to do will actually not, it may not be the thing that you can do for the rest of your life, but I promise you, it will take you to the next destination. I promise you. First, it was community centers for me in Brooklyn. Then it went from me going from Brooklyn to traveling all over the country to do the work, to traveling all over the world to do the work, to being a part of the Future Project with Sarah Katz, you know what I'm saying? To do this work all over the country, you know, and to transform schools. And now my vision out in Newark is that every single high school for me is the new and improved community center. So I've taken my community center vision and I'm transforming schools to feel like community centers when you're coming in there. So you're not just learning in school, it's a place where you can actually feel empowered. It's a place where you can create community and you can create businesses, you can create ventures, you can create things, what we call future projects. That's going to bring you closer to your future right now. You don't have to wait until later. You can start doing it right now, okay? So I guess you want to open up for any questions?
Yeah, we have like 7 minutes. If anyone has a question for Divine.
Okay. No, I closed down the community centers when I was like 22 because I wanted to do the work on a larger scale, and I didn't want to. I just felt like I didn't want to just be pigeonholed to working with like 400 kids a week. I want to work with like how can I impact millions. So I closed it down, and I am still working with Ralph Lauren. I'm actually working on the film project with Ralph Lauren for his 50th anniversary. So, yeah.
Do you feel like you have to relate to teens more than others can? Like,
Who's others?
people, like, you say they can relate to teens, but you know.
Do you think I can relate to you?
Well, you know, your story is kind of like changed my perspective on a lot. A teen can do a lot.
So yes. Definitely.
What was your near-death experience?
Huh?
Your near-death experience.
So just real quick, I was walking through the train station last week, and then I felt like this, like a pain I've never felt before in my life, in my heart and in my head, at the same exact time. And it like really like stopped me in my tracks, and it was going on for at least 20 minutes. Like if you sat on fire for 10 seconds, it could feel like an hour, right? So imagine being in pain in your heart and your head, you have no idea what it is. And so I had to literally like shift my thinking. You know, I had to really start shifting my thinking and just saying like, I'm not dying, I am not dying.